IR spectroscopy. Today we are going to see the IR spectroscopy. I am Napoleon again with you to travel with you in this spectroscopy. Right, let us begin. What is the principle behind the IR spectroscopy? It is vibrational spectroscopy. There are two kinds of vibrational spectra. One is IR and another one is called Raman. Both of them are IR spectroscopy. But both study the vibrations present in the molecule. Vibration in the sense all the bonds in the all the molecules vibrate with respect to bonds, especially covalent bonds. We are not speaking about the ionic bond because ionic bond is not directional, and therefore we here speak about covalent bonds. Especially in organic chemistry, we speak about covalent bonds. With respect to the covalent bond, every molecule, every atom in the molecule may vibrate. During the vibration, it vibrates with a frequency, and each vibration has its own frequency, and the frequency of the vibration, if it matches with the frequency of IR radiation, that particular radiation will be absorbed and the remaining radiations are transmitted. And therefore there are depending upon the molecule, there are several bonds present in the molecule. In the bond can vibrate, but all those vibration can absorb IR radiation. For example, if you take a hydrogen molecule, the hydrogen atom between the bond between the two hydrogen atoms, they expect to vibrate. The frequency of the vibration, I would like to say, is more than 1 trillion times per second. That much fast a molecule is vibrating. We are studying that vibration using IR spectroscopy. Raman spectroscopy also we study using vibrations. In Raman spectroscopy we study vibration, but the method, the radiation that we are, in case of IR we record the transmitted radiation, whereas in case of Raman we record the radiation that are scattered. In the sense IR detects different kinds of vibration, and Raman also detects different kinds of vibrations, right? Some vibrations are both active in Raman and IR, and some vibrations are Raman active but IR inactive, and some other vibrations are IR active, Raman inactive. All these possibilities are there. Therefore, the IR radiations what we are use is from 400 to 4000 centimeter units. This is IR region we are used. In IR there are different regions: mid IR, far IR, near IR. There are different kinds of regions, but depending upon the region there are different spectroscopies available. But in general what we talk about is the mid range. The mid range of IR spectra is from 400 to 4000 centimeter inverse. Right, when the energy of the IR radiation is equal to the excitation vibration levels in the molecule of a particular bond, vibrational levels, then that particular radiation will be absorbed. All other radiations will be transmitted. Usually the radiations are represented in terms of wave numbers. Because there is a direct relationship between the wave number and the frequency. The wave number is the inverse of the frequency. That's what we use. That is very convenient to represent IR spectra. That's why we use a wave number. Because in UV we have used a nanometer, but depending upon the spectroscopy we use a different property of the radiation to represent in a scale. And therefore IR radiations we use the frequency, that is wave number of the radiation in x-axis and the transmittance in y-axis. That's how we record an IR spectra. Next, the frequency of vibration depends upon several factors. The molecule vibrate in a frequency. Some molecules, some vibrations are fast and some are slow. All these are depend is the reduced mass of the reduced mass of the elements present between the bond. Number 2, the bond strength, there is single bond or double bond, like that. If the bond strength is low, then it has low frequency. If the bond strength is high, then it has high frequency. All these things are possible. Therefore, that is another factor that decides the frequency of vibrations. The one more factor, what is hydrogen bond? For example, it is the electronic spectroscopy. Hydrogen bond, and then other electrostatic interaction present in the molecule. Depending upon all those things, the frequency of the vibration is decided. Right? This is how we decide the frequency of vibration. There is one more formula which is to calculate theoretically the frequency of vibration, that is called Hooke's law. All these are studied using IR spectroscopy. Right, this is the Hooke's law by which we study the frequency of vibration, where this is the frequency of vibration is equal to 1 by 2 pi into root of k by mu, where all these are pi, these are all constant, where k is called force constant between these two atoms. You can see two atoms here. Between these two atoms, the force constant is k, but where mu is the reduced mass. Right, it is mu is the reduced mass, which is calculated by the mass of two, depending upon the mass of two elements, right, between the bond. Right, m1 into m2, where m1 is mass of element 1, whereas m2 is mass of this is how it is calculated. And then the type of vibration, I have already uploaded a video, but you can refer that for the animation of all the types of vibration present in the molecule. Right. Number 1 is stretching vibration. In stretching, there are symmetric and asymmetric. There are two kinds of vibration. You can just go and watch the video present in that link in the classroom, where you can see all the stretching animations. Here we shall see the analysis of IR spectra. That's why I am moving fast, and I have given all the links to you to learn about all other vibrations visually by an animation. Right, there are vibrations called as bending vibration, which is called as a deformation vibration. This is in that also we have symmetric and asymmetric. Usually the asymmetric stretching or bending are observed in IR spectroscopy, because there is a condition in IR spectroscopy, there must be a change in dipole moment for a molecule to be IR active. Therefore, in asymmetric there is a possibility of a change in dipole moment. Usually we observe asymmetric vibrations in IR. And that is one category of classification, stretching and bending. The whole vibrations can be classified into stretching and bending. Usually stretching vibration, high frequency vibration compared to the bending vibrations, they are low frequency. Right. The whole vibration again can be classified into two categories. One is called fundamental modes of vibration, which can be calculated by 3n minus 6 and 3n minus 5 formula, linear molecule, where n is the number of atoms present in the molecule. Using this molecule, you can find out the number of fundamental modes present in the molecule. Apart from fundamental mode, there are called as group frequencies, otherwise they are called as local modes. These are the two categories by which vibrations are classified. Usually fundamental modes is low frequency, which usually observed in fingerprint region of the IR spectra, but group frequencies are higher, they will be observed in above fingerprint region, right? Usually, similarly, asymmetric stretching is compared to symmetric. Asymmetric stretching has a high frequency. We will see some of the animation in the coming lecture. All those things we will see, what is symmetric, what is asymmetric, what is bending, all those things we are going to see visually for every molecule. Every molecule we are going to discuss in the spectrum, that we may take up in the next session, right? Then sample handling. In sample handling, usually in every spectra, I also introduce this concept because if you are involved in research, and since we are involved in spectral interpretation, you must know how to give sample to the institutes which record IR spectroscopy. Usually the sample milligrams, you can give few milligram sample, that is enough. For example, if 10 gram of KBr is taken, and your sample is for about 0.1 to 1 gram of sample is taken for recording. The KBr and your sample are both grinded together and made as a pellet, and the pellet is kept here in the sample holder to record an IR spectra. This is how IR spectra is recorded. This is one method. And if your sample is liquid, these two cuvettes are called as are sodium chloride cuvettes, usually sodium chloride or KBr. This type of compounds are used in IR spectra because they are IR transparent. The condition is whatever reference sample or solvent that you are using should be transparent in the region. Therefore, the sodium chloride and the KBr are transparent towards IR radiation, and therefore they are used as to make pellet, or this is pellet sodium chloride pellets. In between two sodium chloride discs, your sample has to, a small drop has to be kept, and over if you kept another disc, because very thin film of the material is required to record IR spectra. Usually spectroscopic technique very low concentration in order to produce the spectra. And this is another another apparatus to make pellets, bolt method. There are several methods. I also shared a video how they are making the pellets, right? This is how. And then procedure for sending sample. If you are recording, if you send few milligram sample, that's enough. Full range is required. Unlike in UV spectra, you have to specify range where you have to record. But in IR, you need not to specify. You have to record the full range. No need to mention your solvent. Usually, if your sample is KBr solid, usually every institute has a KBr pellet. So if you accept liquids, if you are studying liquids, then you have to ask for the requirement. Then accordingly, you can submit your sample. Then another point is avoid moisture. Keep in desiccator, or you can roast your solvent. Roast means you have to roast. There is another name for that. I forgot that name. Before, because water, moisture, if there is present in the molecule, even if it is not water of hydration, that can strongly absorb, and therefore better to avoid moisture. If it is water of hydration present in the molecule, then no problem. Even if you want to avoid that, you can calcinate, that is the word, calcinate your sample. If your sample is that will work only for inorganic materials, but organic materials we cannot calcinate because are easily burnt when you calcinate, and therefore For inorganic molecules, you can calcinate the compound before sending for IR spectroscopy in order to avoid the peak due to water molecule. And therefore, water is also avoided as a solvent because we are using KBr, sodium chloride, and all those things. The water will dissolve those cuvettes, and this will absorb strongly in IR region. Okay, water, and therefore water is avoided in. Then what is called an IR spectrum? IR spectrum, the image is, it is the transmittance between wave number, whereas transmittance is recorded in y-axis and wave number in x-axis. That image is called IR spectrum. Since we are recording transmittance, the IR spectrum always look inverted with downward peaks. In UV, we have seen a direct absorption spectra in which the peaks are upward, the peaks are downward. There are IR peaks which are upward, right? But the conventional method is people always use downward peaks. Such kind of spectrums are commonly used, and therefore you can think about that. And each peak corresponds to vibration in a molecule. Vibration, a single peak can give more than one signal. If for a bond, if the bond can vibrate symmetrically, asymmetrically, the molecule can stretch symmetrically, asymmetrically, the bond can bend symmetrically, asymmetrically. There are different kinds of vibration. Those vibration which has a dipole moment change will give a signal in a IR. And therefore, I would like to say that a single bond is not giving only one signal. A single bond can give many signals depending upon the vibration it undergoes. All the vibrations which are synchronized, if there are similarly 5-6 bonds which synchronize, whose frequencies are same, the synchronized vibrations, it can able to make all those things can altogether give only one signal. That is also possible, and therefore it is not strict that each bond will give each signal. There is no condition like that, right? Then what to look in an IR spectra? You have to look the shape of the peak. In UV we did not see all those things. In mass we and the m by z value, but in IR you have to see many things. You have to look more closer of the spectra. That is, shape of the peak is important, intensity of the peak is important, and the frequency at which it absorbed is important, and the variation or shape of the peak, structure of the peak also important. All those, actually for structure I have to include the structure of peak and shape of peak, intensities, frequency, all the four are noted for a peak in order to interpret that peak into the corresponding bond in the molecule, right? That we will see in coming slides or in other sessions. There is one more session for IR, we can discuss in detail there. No other molecule has a same fingerprint region of the another molecule, and therefore as like a human have a identical fingerprint, a distinguished fingerprint, similarly every chemical has a distinguished fingerprint region. This is used to compare or study, identify molecules present. For example, police they are using IR blower to study the presence of alcohol in your breath. That uses actually the fingerprint region. For example, there are other compounds in pharmaceutical industry, in many industries, they to check the purity of the compound, they use this fingerprint for their identification of the compound, to check the purity of the compounds, right? and therefore we won't bother about the fingerprint region in structural elucidation. But it has many applications, but in structural elucidation we don't give much importance for fingerprint region. But the region above 1500 centimeter inverse, which is known as group frequencies, which is a very useful information about the functional group present in the molecule, and therefore that is a very important region for as far as structural elucidation is concerned. You can see here the shape suffix. You can see this peak is called very broad peak. This is how we mention very broad, very intense. The height is very high, the breadth is very high. It is called very broad, very intense peak. And you can see here it is a broad peak. Broad you have to see here, not here. Okay. And the broadness of peak you have to see at the top. You can see here. See here the distance between where it starts, where it ends. It covers a big region of IR spectra. Right. That's why it is called very broad peak. Here to some extent big region of the IR radiation is observed by this peak, and this is called as a broad peak. This is very broad, this is broad, but it is intense, somewhat less intense than this. Here you can see it is sharp. It is a sharp peak, but intense peak. Sharp peak, intense. And we are talking about shape and intensity. And here structure of peak, you can see there is a W-like structure. Structure of peak, maybe it is little broad, but it is not intense. But you can note the structure of peak look like a W. And you can see here it is somewhat broad, or it like this is called as variable peak. A peak contains many peaks. More peak coincide at one place, and you get structure like this. This structure you should not compare with this structure, because this is the peak of a single compound. But here this is not the peak of a single vibration. There are many vibrations merged together to give this type of compounds that you have to understand. This is not a broad peak. Actually, it is many sharp peaks. 1, 2, 3 sharp peaks merged together to give this type of. This is how you have to interpret IR spectra. There is one more factor which is called frequency of vibration. In the full spectra, we will see the frequency of vibration. Here it is mentioned 3000 centimeter inverse. All these things are very important. Shape, intensity, structure and frequency of the peak are important in order to search for molecules. Right? Usually we predict a functional group. For example, you can see for a carboxylic acid, this is the broad peak. This broad peak appear at, you can see the broad peak. Number 1, shape analyzed, it is broad. Number 2, intensity is analyzed, it is very intense. Number 3, and the shape is analyzed, it is somewhat like variable. I will explain why it is later in later videos. And the frequency is noted here around 3000. The center of the peak can be taken as the frequency. You cannot take the whole spectrum, because it is here from 3500. It absorbs from 2600 to 3500. The whole region is absorbed. But which frequency will take? Exactly the center, the peak, you will take around 3000. There is a broad peak. This is the indication for acid. In order to predict there is an presence of acid, you have to see a peak at 3000, which is very broad and very intense. The intensity may vary depending upon the situation you use to record. Depending upon the concentration of the sample, the intensity may vary. Therefore, you need not bother about the intensity sometimes. If concentration is less, then the peak of all intensity will be less, and therefore you have to make a comparative study. You have to bring bring down, you have to work in the spectra to bring down the peak down. Then you have to see whether it is intense or less intense or more intense. This is how carboxylic acids are shape of the peak, right? Then if you see the alcohol is looking like this here. You can see a broad peak here, but around 3300. This is 3100, 200, 300, 3400. Here 3350. Around 3350. In this region, you get a broad peak. It is not very broad. You can see just like a banana or something like that. That shape is alcoholic shape, especially at 3300 to 400 in this region. If you get a peak like this, then it is called as alcohol. Right? This is how we found out the type of compound. If you want to see an aldehyde, you can. This is the peak for special peak for aldehyde 2727. These two peaks are special peaks for aldehyde. And there is one more aldehyde contains CO and H. In carbonyl CO, CH. And this you can see the peak here, which is not very broad. It is a sharp peak, but sharp but high intense. It comes almost to zero. The transmission of this radiation is almost zero. All the radiations are absorbed. Okay, and therefore this compound shows. This is carbonyl due to the frequency of carbonyl. We don't consider all those things. We will see which peak is correspondent to which vibration in the molecule. In the next lecture, I will show an animation where even the fingerprint region I can able to explain. That we will explain in the next video, that is day after tomorrow. Right. This is how aldehyde is confirmed. By seeing the spectra, you have a peak at 1700, around 1700, a carbonyl peak, that is a sharp intense peak, plus a peak at 2700. If you get these two peaks, then that means the compound is aldehyde, right? There is only one difference between aldehyde and ketone. In aldehyde, there is a hydrogen at carbonyl carbon, but in ketone we don't have nitrogen at carbonyl carbon. Therefore, you will get only carbonyl stretching at 1700 and something, yeah, 1720 or 15 in the range. You get a sharp and intense peak, which is corresponding to the carbonyl group. But here around 2700. There is a peak missing here, right? There is a peak missing. That means this compound do not contain. This compound is not aldehyde. This is actually a ketone. This is how we have to interpret whether the compound is ketone or aldehyde or some other carbonyl compounds. There are several carbonyl compounds. We will compare all those things. Just I am here introducing the shapes of peak, and we will make all other comparison in the next video. Right. Now you can see here amine. The peak of amine, you can see the shape of the peak, structure of the peak, a W-like structure. You can observe here. Can you see here? It is a W-like peak. This W-like peak is an indication for the presence of NH stretching frequency. NH, that too around 3300 to 3400 in the region where the alcoholic peak occurs. Alcoholic OH and amine NH appear in the same region. Both are little broad, both are same, but there is a, right, you can see there is a, the intensity will be little less compared to alcohol, and there is a W-like structure for NH2. If it is NH, you cannot see a W-like structure, but you can verify with your molecular formula. If nitrogen is present, then you can doubt here there may be a presence of a NH group. If your molecular formula do not contain nitrogen, then do not bother about it. Then it may be an alcoholic OH stretching. This is how we have to interpret the spectra. Then you can see an amide, CONH2. This functional group, it contains NH, which you can see as a W-like peak here, a W-like peak here, and also W-like for CO. This is an indication for presence of amide, but you need not bother about this. But these two are an indication for presence of amide. You get a W-like structure in structure around 3350, and similarly the W-like structure in carbonyl. Usually in amide you can see a peculiar change. This is below 1700, 1680 and 1690. This reduction in frequency is another indication presence of amide. Right? There are two peaks adjacent to each other, which looks like a W. This is an indication for presence of amide. Then you can see ester. Ester, you can see it is alpha beta unsaturated ester. An example is ethyl benzoate is given here, and you can see only, right, this is a concrete information you can get, only CO, but since this is a fingerprint region, we cannot predict actually, but what you can predict is this peaks around 1720. You have to couple all the information from all the spectra in order to evaluate the structure for molecule. Therefore, you can use NMR, you can use mass spectra, you can use UV, you can use just smell, or you can use any chemical method. You have to use all the information to elucidate the structure, right? Right, in alkyne, if you take alkyne, you can see two peculiar peaks are there. You can see the same region, 3300 region, around 3300, the same region where alcoholic OH, amine NH appeared. Here also, it is the frequency of CH stitching that is combined with this triple bond. This peak is CH of other saturated hydrocarbons, but whereas this is a peculiar peak where by seeing the peak itself you can confirm it is CH, because it is very sharp, it is not broad, it is very sharp, and it is not W-like. If it is a sharp peak, there is no other way, it should be a CH stitching present in an alkyne carbon, sp carbon, right? And one more thing, you can see the C triple bond C stitching here at around 2100. This is a triple bond region. We say around 2000 is the triple bond region where you get a CC triple bond. If these two get, and this is another indication where this to confirm that this is a CH alkyne. If the alkyne do not contain hydrogen, and then this peak will be missing, and you get only this peak, by which you can confirm the different kinds of compounds, right? Then we can see here another molecule where alkenes. How we can study the alkenes? Alkenes, you can peculiarly can see the blue color here. This 1643, usually ketone of amide also observed in this region, but this will be very sharp than amide. This peak will be looking very sharp than amide. You can see the carbonyl stitching. Can you able to see carbonyl stitching? Little broad. You can see here the carbonyl stitching, which is little broad. You can also see here little broad and high intense. But in alkene, it is not like this. There is not high intense like carbonyl. The intensity will be a little less, and it is highly sharp. And these are all some indications of CC double bond. This is double bond region actually. CC double bond also appear in the same region. Here you can see the, and one more, the CH bond present in unsaturated carbon, that is double bond carbon CH, that appear above 3000, just above 3000. You can see 3080, and this CH, all the sharp peaks around 3000 are due to CH stitchings, but the peaks just below 3000 are due to the sp3 carbon CH3 CH2, all this sp3 carbon CH stitching frequency observed below 3000, whereas above 3000 3080, this is due to the sp2 carbon, that is these two CH, right. All these three hydrogen put together give this peak around just above 3000. You get sharp peaks, and those peaks are represent the double bond. It is not a triple bond, actually double bond carbon. In that carbon, the CH present in a double bond carbon, right. I think we have analyzed many of the compounds. This is I introduced all these in order to see shapes, understand shapes of peaks and structure of peak, frequency of, and I would like to show some of the spectrum of all the different kinds of compound. That is the reason why I have given all these. But now, if your spectrum is, I have given what is this, that's why you can able to all those things. If an unknown spectrum is given to you, what you have to do? Then there is one analysis called as zone analysis we usually took, which is very successful in elucidating the structure of the compound. We don't actually elucidate, we found what kind of molecule. In using IR, we can predict this is alcohol, this is ketone, this is ester, this is amine, this is acid. This is what we can say, but we create the full structure of the compound. But apart from that, what are the other components? It contains C double bond O, it contains C double bond C, all those information, C triple bond. Especially you can see here, I can see this region is called fingerprint region. All single bond stretching will occur here, and other bending vibrations, other fundamental modes, so CC single bond stretching and other bending and deformation vibration, all those things occur in this fingerprint region, and therefore there will be many vibration, many signals which is correct. But after finding the structure of the molecule, where is which bond, which signal is CO, which we can able to make some predictions. But before knowing the structure, you cannot use the fingerprint region for interpreting the structure of the molecule, and therefore we won't bother about the CC single bond, CO single bond, CN single bond, and other bending vibration, because they occur in the fingerprint region. Therefore, our concentration is just above 1500. If any from here, you can see here, you can see here from 1600 to 1800, you can see this region is called double bond region. All C double bond C, C double bond O, C double bond N, all these bonds will give a peak at this region 1700, usually 600 to 700, 800. In this region you get this peak for different molecule, and this region is called double bond region. If you get any peak in this region, you have to think of any of these three possibilities. If your any of these three may occur by seeing the shape and intensity and the structure and molecular formula and other information. You have to couple all the information to eliminate some and pick one, right? This is how you have to make analysis. YouTube live streaming, now it is connected. It is connected. This region is called triple bond region. Okay, but this region above 2000, this region called CH region, usually CH, OH, NH, and this region from 2700 to 3500. This we can classify into two, from 3100 above and 3100 below. and 3100 above it is NH, OH and CH of alkyne. Only these three are possible, and below because in that region above 3100 only few compounds show other compounds, but in the region of almost every compound show a peak here, because almost every compound has a CH3 CH2 group, and therefore every compound have a CH peak sharply at 3000. This is what is called the zone analysis. Right, we shall see the zone one by one, but we will also take example of spectrum, then when analyze to find out the compound in another video. But here let us have a look at it. The zone 1 is called from 3700 to 3200, and this region is called zone 1. In this region, if you get any peak, that may be correspond to either of these three. Maybe alcoholic OH, or amine or amide NH, or terminal alkyne in CH. In this region is zone 1. By seeing the shape and the structure, intensity, you can eliminate, or by seeing the molecular formula, if nitrogen is absent, that you need not consider the amide, and similarly if there is no double bond equivalent, you need not consider. By seeing the shape, this is broad and intense, this is medium, it is broad but medium intense. This peak is sharp and intense, not intense, medium intense, but sharp peak. This is how we can eliminate if any peak comes around in this region. The zone 2 is from 3200 to 2100. Here it is purely CH stitch. It is purely from all the CH2 groups, CH2, CH3 groups, or all the sp2ch group, aromatic CH, aromatic, the CH present in aromatic ring, and one more, that is aldehyde, CH present in aldehyde, and one more, that is OH present in carboxylic acid. All these groups appear in this region, but there is but we can able to identify them very easily. If aldehyde is present, it will not come close to 3000. It will not. It will be around 2700. Maximum it will come up to 2800, not above that. And therefore aldehyde peak. Similarly, the CH2 CH peak will not come below 2800. It will not come below, and therefore there will be a clear distinction between aldehyde CH and other alkyl or vinyl aryl CH bond. But you can also see where there will be very clear indication of carboxylic acid. We have seen there, it will be looking very broad and very intense, that will be. And I have shown one peak, let me go there and explain, then we will come back. I have shown here, there is a peak. It is the merging of two signal. It is very broad due to the carboxylic acid OH, and the carboxylic acid OH is merged with the CH present in the molecule. You can see here this OH peak is given here, OH, but at the same time these CH3, CH2, CH stitching also appear in the same region, and therefore these two merge to give these two type of spectra. Otherwise, if it is only COOH, it will be a broad shaped peak without this, right? I think right, I wanted to show that again we shall go back to, and therefore the zone 1 contains, zone 2 contains these type of peaks, which can be very easily identified using the molecular formula, using the other shape of the peaks, and we have to make cross reference molecular formula, double bond equivalent. You have to use all those data in order to eliminate other peaks to choose one peak, right? Right, the zone 3 is the region of a triple bond, that is from 2300 to 2100. It contains only C triple bond C or C triple bond N. but seeing the molecular formula and other factors, we can eliminate one and choose another one. There is no right. That region is absent. That type of bondings are not available there. The zone 4 is actually the carbonyl region. Zone 4 is the carbonyl region, which is from 1008 to 1650. In case of amide, it goes to 1006, even below this. You can get these two regions. We could not distinguish actually. They will merge together, appear. You can see here 1680, but carbon will appear little lower than carbonyl, but by the shape itself it will be little broad and it will be high intense. But alkene CC double bond is a sharp peak. The aromatic ring CC double bonds also appear in this region, right? Then zone